So what's the hubbub? So this tweet by Zekurai, which used to stream a lot of DOA. I don't know if he still does. I haven't been following him along the last couple of years, but I know he's definitely been playing DOA on high level for quite a bit. So not a stranger to DOA, right? DOA 7 should stick with the winning formula of 5, but with updated graphics, new moves, remove the unnecessary meter mechanics and dial back on the overt sexualization of the female cast so everyone can fully embrace the game's competitive potential. I get where he's coming from. I don't agree though, right? Let's break it down a little bit. The winning formula of 5, I can see why you would say that as a shorthand. I don't think 5, I mean, we're going to see that with a lot of these replies, but I think 5 has gone through quite a bit of revisionist history amongst the DOA players. Vanilla 5, things changed over the lifetime of 5. Let's put it that way, right? But I get what he means here, right? Sure, graphics, new moves. I mean, fine, right? This is like very generic, but whatever. The unnecessary meter mechanics. I mean, I've talked to death about this, right? I don't think the meter mechanic. It's nothing wrong. Plenty of fighting games use meters. There's zero issues with a meter. It's how it's used. It's what you can do with the meter. It's, you know, a meter like in the end, a meter is just a resource, and it's all about, is the resource management interesting, and are the rewards for managing your resource properly, are they good, bad, broken, whatever. That's where the real key issue lies, not the meter itself. And I'm kind of tired of, in the DOA community, meter just being thrown out there as like meter bad, because that is such a surface level analysis of the problem. Whatever. And dial back on the overt sexualization of the female cast so everyone can embrace the game's competitive potential. So that already is such a wild statement, because I mean, logically, one doesn't exclude the other. You know, a game could theoretically be overtly sexualized and competitive. You know, one doesn't exclude the other. That being said, fighting games, and here's the thing, right? Because I think a lot of people replying on this tweet are taking it a little bit into bad faith, right? What he's talking about, the point he's trying to make is, these are things how DOA 7 could be successful, right? He's not talking about what's right or wrong, correct or... He's just saying, this is what I think would be for a more successful entry, right? That's what it's about. In terms of a more successful entry, competitiveness is not the end-all be-all. It's part of it. A good core competitive portion of the game, and specifically a competitive community, and like a world tour, and like if there's a whole thing around competitiveness, that means the game is going to be active as a spectator sport, right? And I think that is more important than focusing purely on competitiveness. Which of course means if you want an active tournament scene and all that stuff, the game needs to be competitively viable though. But that's just not all, right? A fighting game, especially these days, but actually over all time, if you look at any successful fighting game, it has more than just competitiveness, right? Most successful fighting games these days, they have some sort of single player offering, interesting story, good characters, you name it, right? There's stuff to do. Look at Mortal Kombat, right? They have all kinds of stuff to do. Even if you don't like it, they have a good single player story. They have like the whole tower thing with unlocks, and that shit is getting worse every entry, sure, because now you need to pay for everything. But welcome to all fighting games. Maybe he has a more nuanced take, and this is just condensed down. But the way it's written here, and that's the only thing I can go off of, it feels like, you know, a very non-nuanced take, you know? You pull in a lot of casual players, and then you get the competitive scene, not the other way around. Yes, if you, like you say, if you get a casual crowd that's really enjoying the game, really vibing with the game, you need to make sure there is a competitiveness to the game to latch onto so a competitive scene can form. But yeah, one doesn't come without the other. That's the initial tweet. Again, don't fully agree with that. I actually don't really agree with it at all. But let's look at these replies, because there's stuff there. Now, I'm a little bit scared to scroll because new replies could have been added, and Twitter these days, it could just be straight up titties. Who knows? So if I'm getting banned for this, I mean, it is what it is. I'll take a vacation. Bro, DOA 5 had specific jiggle physics for each girl depending on what she was wearing. 6-2, by the way. Loose clothing is more jiggle than tight clothing. Winning Formula 5, it's the most sexual one. This is, I feel, again, one of those... The history of DOA 5 has been forgotten, right? And we're gonna see this sentiment a lot. DOA 6 failed because it dialed things back just like you asked. This idea that DOA 6 dialed things down so massively, I think one is incorrect. I think there's plenty of sexualization in DOA 6, but at the same time, it's exactly what 5 did. Let's not forget, I'm a fighter, that whole slogan, that started in 5, Vanilla 5, and if you're even older than that, right? If you were around when Ninja Gaiden 3 released and had a collector's edition with an alpha of DOA 5, if you've played that alpha, that had such a gritty feel to it. It really made it feel like DOA 5 was gonna be this game of like, we are taking it serious. This is not about like the cartoony over-sexualization. I'm a fighter. Like that slogan was not about you and me. That was them proclaiming to the world, look, we are a legit fighting game. I think there's a lot of new fans, let's put it that way, a lot of new fans that got in DOA 5 during the last round days. For good reason, I think that was the best version of DOA 5 yet. But you weren't there at the beginning, dude. But again, so this, and we're gonna see this a lot. DOA 6 dialed it back. I think DOA 6 launch was just about the same as DOA 5 launch, which is, it was fine. Why 6 didn't even last a year? There's only one reason 6 didn't last a year, and that's because the devs stopped supporting it after a year. Plans are made months in advance. I can assume they planned out season 1 and 2, and then 3 and 4 were planned, you know, or like finalized during season 1 and 2, right? But once season 4 hit, they knew 4 was the last one before 4 started, right? Let's be real. The only reason 6 didn't last long was because the devs chose for it not to last long. There were plenty of people still playing. There's so much weird shit, because here's the thing. The idea that a lot of people are saying like, no, it needs to be more titties, more jiggle physics, yada yada yada. But like, you know, compared to the rest, but every other fighting game is also doing this. Like, please, Street Fighter has tie jiggle. I mean, come on. They've advanced. They have advanced. See, this is actually someone I think is more correctly thinking about it. There are things about DOA 6 that actually were worse, and Stages was definitely one of them. Stages were more square, less interactions, you know. Almost killed the series, which I also love. Almost killed. So what? It's not dead. We have no confirmation that there's anything else coming, so it could still be as dead as it is. Oh yeah. Go ahead. See, another thing, like this whole thing of DOA 6 was being censored, and that's the modern take. When I feel the opposite has happened, more and more other fighting games have become more overtly sexual. I don't think, like, I think the perfect example is Street Fighter 6, where they couldn't have pushed Yuri's feet deeper in your face if they wanted to. And yeah, like Soul Calibur, always been way hornier. Less paid costume DLC, but free custom character like Tekken. Woof. I swear, he should have posted this like 2 months ago, then he would have gotten a slam dunk. The fact that Tekken just added 2 ways to aggressively monetize their customization. Wow, what a way to not be in the loop, my friend. Bro, this is something else, right? The amount of people that are bringing up Stellar Blade, or Stella Blade in this case, is mind-boggling to me, because the game's not out. You can't say, look at how good Stellar Blade is doing and they're like overtly sexual when it's not out. You can't tell if it's doing well because it has sold exactly 0 copies. I'm sure the game's gonna be fine. Stellar Blade, and this is the thing, has nothing to do with the titties. I think it's gonna be a solid game to begin with. They could remove all the titties and it would still sell. It just happens to be the game that's being plucked out of the lineup to be the shining example. But it's just bullshit. The game's not out. $5,000 worth of DLC, and it's Life's Blood. Yeah, the complete opposite is happening now too. People saying it's because it had a bajillion dollars worth of DLC, which is wrong. It survived. Huh? Wouldn't that mean DOA 6 would have done like great? Anyway, I have not posted any YouTube videos because I always assumed, what do I have to add? Everyone has already done everything. I can make a guide video, but who cares? There's plenty of them out there, so I'm not doing it. And then there's no YouTube content. But the more I'm looking at shit like this, I'm thinking, clearly someone just needs to state the obvious because people are not getting to the obvious. It is crazy how one-track minded this community can be. And maybe not just this community, because I think this post has, you know, like lured in a lot of outside of the DOA community people. Yeah, DOA, I get excited talking about DOA, but I always get depressed when I see the state of the community. How we have been, it's been almost 4 years now. No, it's been actually exactly 4 years since the launch of DOA. Wait, has it been 5? No, it's been 5 years. Fuck me. Yeah, it's been 5 years now. And we're still seeing people say $1,000 DLC. We're still seeing meter bad instead of like the actual underlying reason. We're still seeing fucking titty good if titty then money. Like, no. It's so much more than that. Again, because if any of these individual things would have tanked DOA, it would have tanked any other game with a meter. It would have tanked any other game with a titty. It would have tanked any other game with DLC that's outrageous. And guess what? Each of those things are in a popular game right now. I think there's a lot to be said for bad timing, right? Because DOA 6 did a lot of things people got angry over, and only now, a couple years later, other games are doing wildly worse shit. I think if DOA 6 would have released only a couple years later, if they just waited a little bit, if they released it like last year or this year even, the DLC practice would have been so much more accepted. They're like, oh fuck, I can just buy something, yes. But yeah, I saw this thread. It really, I haven't been talking about DOA much lately, and this just brought back everything, dude. And I just wanted to unload a little bit, get my opinion out there, because again, it's been so long and people keep repeating the same opinions, and I feel like I feel like they're starting to believe all the shorthands that they've created for themselves. Be it DOA 6 was censored, you know, there wasn't even a tie to be seen. Like all those hyperbolic opinions. No. Just no. It's never one thing. It's never one thing.